Every time somebody comes out to check out my plant nursery or the food forest, they always seem to gravitate and stop right here. Not because of the peaches, not because of the citrus, and not because of the jujubes. They stop because they can't believe that banana plants survive in the Arizona desert. And the funny thing is, many moons ago, I wasn't sure they belonged here either. I've killed banana plants. I've planted them in the wrong places. I've tried out varieties that just wouldn't cooperate. I've seen beautiful flowers emerge, only to know that winter would come before they would ever ripen. And as I look back, I didn't learn how to make bananas survive in the desert. I learned how to give bananas a place where they could grow. And that one idea changed everything. Today, I want to show you that everything that I wish I would have known before I planted my first banana. Hey, I'm Josh with Desert Gardens Homestead. I just want to take a quick moment to thank you for stopping in to check out this video as well as this channel. And if you find any value in the video today, I would really appreciate a big thumbs up. And if you're into natural farming, permaculture, or desert gardening, I invite you to subscribe. I put out new content every week. Now let's get on to the bananas. If you only remember one thing from this video, make it this. The biggest mistake that I made wasn't watering. It wasn't fertilizer. It wasn't choosing the wrong variety. It was where I planted them. When I first started growing bananas, I planted them out in the open. Every winter, frost reminded me bananas aren't native to Arizona. At first I kept asking, how do I make bananas survive here? Eventually, I started asking a different question. Where would bananas actually want to grow? Today, almost all of my bananas grow beside my house. The house blocks cold winter winds. It creates a warmer microclimate. And during our brutal summers, it provides some shade. That surprised me. People picture bananas baking in the full tropical sun, but our desert sun is different. I found bananas love morning sun, but they really appreciate some protection during the scorching afternoons. Because I stopped trying to make bananas adapt to the desert, and I started creating a place where bananas actually wanted to grow. Once I made that shift, these plants completely changed my opinion of what was possible here. But location wasn't my only mistake. For years, I thought I had an irrigation problem. Every summer, I kept asking myself, do I need bigger emitters? Should I be watering longer? Maybe I should be watering more often. As it turns out, I was trying to solve a soil problem with water. Come here for a second. Let me show you something. Look at this. We're beneath the canopy of the rose, right next to the banana plant. I'm going to scrape away some of this mulch. Even though it's very hot in the summertime here, the soil always stays nice and cool and moist. Just look at how beautiful this soil is. Still moist. This is what changed my bananas. Not another irrigation timer. Heavy mulch. Allowing organic matter just to collect and accumulate on the ground. Living ground covers. Healthy soil biology. Healthy soil acts like a sponge. Instead of water disappearing after a day, it stays available to the roots. Once these bananas became established, I actually found myself watering less while growing healthier plants. That was a huge mindset shift. Feed the soil first. The soil will feed the plant and hold moisture. And here's another thing that completely changed how I started looking at bananas. Most people think bananas are trees. They're actually the world's largest herb. And once you understand how this giant herb grows, variety selection starts making a whole lot more sense. Each variety of banana has a certain number of leaves that it has to go through before the flag leaf emerges. You can see one there above the flower. There's also another one coming out right here, and that'll produce a flower that will also hang. That final leaf tells you the flower is about to emerge. Why does that matter? Because our growing season is only so long. If a variety spends too much time producing leaves, winter may arrive before it ever flowers. Suddenly, all my successes and failures started making sense. I wasn't always choosing bad plants. Sometimes I was choosing plants that just simply ran out of season. After experimenting with dozens and dozens of banana varieties over the years, these are the 4 I'd recommend the most for the desert climate. Dwarf Namwa, my overall favorite. Reliable, productive, and excellent flavor. Raja Puri, tough, dependable, and an excellent choice if you're just getting started. Grand Nain, vigorous, productive, and one of the classics for a reason. Check out that flag leaf emerging. And last but not least, on the south-facing wall, I have a banana circle of ladyfingers. And this particular clump has 2 flowers with fruit emerging. The fruit are slightly smaller on these, about 3 inches, but they are excellent flavor that we really enjoy. I've also experimented with varieties like Giant Saba. It was a beautiful plant, huge tropical leaves. The trunk was enormous, probably 2.5 to 3 feet in diameter. But unfortunately, it spent so much time getting big that winter usually caught it before it could ever really reward me. And that was really before I found out or self-realized that bananas had so many leaves to go through before they ever fruited. With it being a giant banana, I can't even imagine how many leaves would have to emerge before the flag leaf ever came out. And so I eventually had to cut that one off of my growing list and narrow it down to these 4. Then there's the blue java. Everybody asks about the blue java. I wanted it to work. I really did. But after trying more than once, I finally accepted reality. I simply can't keep it alive outdoors through our winters. Today, it's a greenhouse and nursery banana for me. And sometimes gardening isn't about trying harder. Sometimes it's about accepting what your climate is trying to tell you. One more thing, don't get too attached to the plant tag. Buying bananas can be a little like buying a mystery box. Sometimes the tag is right, and sometimes it's not. If you're serious about buying a certain banana variety, make sure you buy from a reputable source. Take a look at these plants. Would you be able to identify which one's ladyfinger, which one's Raja Puri, Dwarf Namwa, or Grand Nain? It's almost impossible to identify them, even for me. but luckily I've memorized the position of where I put my plants. Bananas are remarkably similar to one another, and it's almost impossible to identify specific varieties except in certain circumstances where there's a fruit color or a leaf color or something remarkably different from other banana varieties. But the biggest traits are the trunk diameter and size, specific colors for fruit or leaf, and the number of leaves that have to go through for the flag leaf to appear. You wouldn't believe how many times I thought I was buying a known variety, and turns out it was something completely different, which makes buying from a reputable source number one if you need a specific variety. Here's another real big tip with growing bananas. Manage how many grow per clump. Ideally, 3 or 4. I like to think about it as 3 generations. You've got your currently fruiting, the one that's gonna fruit next year, and this little guy, he's the future. But that's really easier said than done. Sometimes you try to space them out and one outgrows another, and then sometimes you'll have a clump where you get 2 that are fruiting in the same year. So sometimes I'll allow 4, maybe even 5, but no more than that. If there's any more pups than 5, I'll go ahead and start pulling them out, potting them up, and placing them in a new location around the house, or sell them in my plant nursery. This clump has 6 bananas. I've got the fruiting one, a large one here. I have 2 medium-sized ones inside, but I also have 1 baby coming out here, and around the other side, another baby coming out right there. And so I'm gonna wanna go ahead and prune one of these out. I always look at which one I wanna get rid of. I always like the ones right next to the house, but this medium-sized one is growing out towards the rose bush, and I'm gonna go ahead and prune this one out. One thing to keep in mind when you're propagating bananas is you want them at least 2 feet tall. Any smaller than that and they may not have developed roots, and you'll pull them out and they won't be any good. So to make sure you have good roots, wait until they're 2 or more feet tall and you should be in good shape. Let's go ahead and pull this one out and get it potted up. So I didn't actually get the best roots, but I did get some roots here. I got a nice root here, a couple down here, and then one on this side, which will be plenty enough for this banana to make it and thrive. One thing I always like to do, and it's almost critical, is to prune off all the leaves after you pull it out to prevent shock and to allow those roots to adequately provide the water and intake for the plant so it doesn't stress out. And then what I do is I just leave the next leaf coming out just like so, but then I'll cut this one in half just like that. And so really all you've got is the stem, which is part of a leaf. And that's going to be plenty enough for this to take hold and do well. So I'll put it into a large pot with my excellent compost and biochar soil. And let's go ahead and get this potted. One thing with bananas, they don't mind being planted a little deep. So I don't really worry too much with that. I don't want them extremely deep, but it's not as critical as a fruit tree would be. And now that I have it planted, I'll go ahead and water it and put it into the nursery. Watering a newly transplanted plant or a fruit tree is very critical. Make sure you take your time here and water thoroughly, even more than normal, to get any of those air pockets out of the soil. If you have a little bit of vitamin B1, go ahead and add some. And once it's thoroughly watered, I'll grab some vitamin B1, which helps just reduce transplant shock, and go ahead and give them a really good drench with the B1. Especially since this one came out with minimal roots, this is going to be especially helpful, and the plant's really going to appreciate it. Here it is in the nursery, and as you can tell by these other bananas, I've been doing some propagating. This might be the hardest lesson bananas have taught me. Sometimes you've done everything right. Healthy soil, healthy plant, perfect location, beautiful flower. And you're still not going to harvest bananas. Why? Timing. That's it. If that flower appears early enough, you've got a good chance of harvesting ripe fruit. If it appears late, winter usually wins. That's what happens to me fairly often. When I know a stem isn't going to finish, I'll usually just cut it down and let that energy go into the next generation of pups. That's not failure. That's understanding the rhythm of the plant. Sometimes success isn't forcing nature to cooperate. Sometimes it's recognizing when nature is simply saying, "Not this year." That's also why I recommend growing several clumps. Different stems flower at different times. You're giving yourself more opportunities for success. People ask me all the time, are bananas really worth growing? For me, they are in their place long before they produce fruit. Nothing gets wasted around here. The kitchen scraps feed the banana circle. The banana circle feeds the bananas. The leaves feed the goats. The plants shade the soil. Everything has a purpose. The leaves can even be used to wrap food on the grill. And honestly, few plants transform a landscape like bananas do. Even if they never produced fruit, I'd probably still grow them. So are bananas really worth it? Let me answer that this way. I wish every one of you could taste a homegrown banana. They're nothing like the grocery store. They're sweeter, creamier, more flavorful. Sure, they're usually smaller. Most of mine are only about 4 or 5 inches long. but I'd take a homegrown banana over a store-bought banana any day. So if you're thinking about growing bananas, start with the right location. Build healthy soil. Mulch heavily. Choose varieties that mature early. Grow several clumps instead of relying on one. And don't get discouraged when nature humbles you, because she will. When I first started gardening, I spent a lot of time trying to make plants fit my yard. Today, I spend much more time making my yard fit the plants I want to grow. That's really what this entire food forest has taught me. It turns out, the bananas didn't need a different desert. They simply needed a better home. Maybe that's true for a lot of plants. Once I understood that, everything changed. Remember when I said every visitor stops here? I think it's because bananas challenge what people think is possible. People expect to see saguaros in Arizona. They don't expect to see bananas. Yet every time I walk out here, those giant green leaves put a smile on my face. And they remind me that gardening isn't about fighting nature. It's about understanding it. And if this video encourages even one of you to plant a banana when everybody else says that they can't grow, I'd call that a win. And thanks so much for stopping in today. And until next time, green thumbs, God bless, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care, everybody.
Wow.